Yeah, show that to him. How big the ice is.
All right. Good morning to everybody that's joining on the live stream. I'm looking at them, not at you. Sorry. There's folks right behind me that thought I was talking to them. Anyway, we're getting ready to do this presentation about ChatGPT and chatbots and AI in education. I've got a couple of new things in this live stream that I didn't have in the last one. So I'm going to go grab my microphone. Hopefully there'll be plenty of amplification so you guys can hear. Feel free to interact in the chat. Yeah, hope you enjoy it. Thanks for joining us here at TCEA. We're at the Samsung booth. Hey, how's it going? Good. All right. All ready to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Turn it up just a smidge more. So, all right, cool. Good morning. Good to see several of us have gotten up this morning, and hopefully are we adequately caffeinated yet at this point? Kind of, sort of working in that direction. Yeah, I'm still working my way through my first cup too. So anyway, good morning to all of you that are here and all of you that are here on the live stream. We're at the Samsung booth here at the TCEA conference in San Antonio, and we're going to be talking about a topic that I've seen a lot of folks talking about at this conference, and that is artificial intelligence and ChatGPT and kind of like its implications for education. And also we're going to take a look at what we can do with it, because obviously it's something that can help us as teachers, but also can help our students out as well if we use it kind of in the right way. So doing my presentation here on a Samsung interactive display, you're going to get to see some of the cool features that it has while I'm doing the presentation. One of the things I love is that I can take the web browser that I'm showing my slides in, and I can capture images from it, throw it right onto my my roll, which is kind of like my whiteboard. So you're going to see a bunch of that as we go as well. So real quick, hello, my name's Matt. Taught high school Spanish for more than 10 years. I've written 5 books, including Ditch That Textbook. And now I work with schools and school districts all over the United States and beyond, creating resources to support and help teachers and everything. And I've been thinking about this ChatGPT and AI thing just as much as you all probably have. And everybody's thinking something different, it seems. You know, you've got the students that are going, wait, can this write my English essays for me and do my math homework? The answer to that is yes, and not very well. The English essays it can kind of do. The math homework it seems to be struggling with, but it'll get there eventually. The teachers are going, wait a second, how will I run class when the students can just ask a chatbot to do everything for them? And then we've got the IT staff going, we got to get this thing blocked, like immediately. Maybe that's going to solve the problem. Is that going to really like solve problems? Yeah. I mean, the terms of service are 18 and older. So if they end up like blocking it for that reason, you know, to keep kids from using stuff that they're not supposed to use because of their age, that's one thing. But is it going to like make all of the AI go away? Definitely not, right? So these are some of the things that we kind of wrap our brains around. So I got a handful. Yeah.
Is there any version that's not 18 plus, or will it across the board?
Oh, that's a good question. So she asked, is there any version that's not 18 plus? So right now, ChatGPT is kind of like the big dog, right? There's other AI tools that are out there, but they don't do exactly what it does and not as powerful as it. I wouldn't be shocked if one of these days those terms of use start to come down. But yeah, for right now, that's like the big one. There's nothing that really quite does what ChatGPT does. So yeah, so that's kind of like the big one. The other thing, since you asked about terms of use, the other thing too is that refers to the end user. You know, so if the student is the end user, then that means that the student is using it against terms of service. I think first of all, we have to identify the fact that there are kids that are going to use this no matter what. You know, we can't necessarily tell them that they're required to do it for class, but we have to recognize the fact that they'll use it. And secondly, if the teacher is the end user, the teacher is 18 plus. So if you put it up on the screen and you project it, or you put it on a display like this, then you're the end user and you're good. So there's some different ways to look at it. That's a good question though. Glad you brought it up. Okay, let's do definitions real quick first. What are AI, ChatGPT, and GPT-3? I did a session with this on Monday, and kind of joked that when we start talking about these things, it starts to feel like alphabet soup a little bit. Because there's all of these letters and there's all these different things. There's abbreviations that I don't even know what they mean yet. But let's look at a couple of them. What is AI, first of all? AI is artificial intelligence, right? Like it says, computers are machines performing tasks that would normally require human intelligence. We're basically training computers and machines to think like humans. And as humans, we sort of think algorithmically. You know, we take our previous experiences and it informs the way that we think and the way that we make decisions going forward. So there's some of that stuff that can kind of be replicated, right? It's also trained on a data set. So the data set that ChatGPT runs off of is based off of information taken from all over the internet. My friend Holly Clark, who presented with me at the session on Monday, said that it's something like you would have to live like 1 million lifetimes to be able to have the kind of experience and knowledge that that data set has at this point. And so it's trained on a data set, and then it's improved by interaction with humans. If you've wondered why ChatGPT still has a free to use version, it's because they need us. It costs, what'd you say? Yeah. It's it costs OpenAI that owns ChatGPT, it costs them $100,000 a day to run it. And they're not just doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. They're doing it because they need humans to interact with it so it trains and it gets better and better. So that's what artificial intelligence is. And actually, I want to take these definitions real quick, and we're going to like capture these. I'm going to hit this capture button. This is one of the cool things about the Samsung display, is that I can take slides like this. I have a captured image, like a screenshot, and then I can hit merge, and it just sticks it right there on the whiteboard for me, which is cool. And oh, look at those little like black bars at the top and the bottom. Those aren't pretty. I just need to like erase those off of there. There, that's a little bit better. I love that feature. Okay, so anyway, back to definitions. Let's keep moving. Let's go to the next one, which is, did I miss one? Nope, there it is right there. Which is, what is ChatGPT? So ChatGPT is a program that runs off of artificial intelligence. It is a product created by a company called OpenAI. And so they're using GPT technology, which we're going to look at on our next slide, to run this thing. So like it says, artificial intelligence trained by OpenAI, and it's designed to answer questions and provide information. It's designed to be conversational, to sound like humans. The data set that it's trained on, one of the things that it's studied is how humans interact with each other and answer questions and talk to each other. And it has tons and tons of examples from that. It's kind of taught itself how we as humans interact. Interacts conversationally, understands natural language, and of course, it's not a physical being. It's not an, even though it feels like it sometimes, it's not an actual real physical being. Doesn't have feelings, no personal experiences to draw upon, and sometimes if you ask it, it will remind you that. If it wants you to, say, how do you feel about this? It'll say, well, I don't have feelings, so I can't answer that question, which is kind of weird. But I mean, that's the way that the technology is. So what is GPT-3? This is the thing kind of in the middle of the other two definitions. So GPT-3. So the GPT part stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Generative means it creates things. Pre-trained means that it's trained on a data set. Transformer means that it transforms it into something that we can use. And the 3 is that it's on its 3rd iteration. It's like version 3.0. Version 4, GPT-4, is coming. Maybe within the next calendar year or so, and it's supposed to be like many, many multiples more powerful than the current GPT-3 is. Trained on a large data set, can do translation, summarization, answer questions, text generation. It's the engine that a lot of text-based AI run on. Now, notice that we're talking a lot about text-type things. There's AI that will create images as well. That's like DALL-E. That's another one that you can use. And then there's all sorts of products that use this technology to do things too. So, okay, definitions. Oh, I forgot. I was going to grab some of these definitions. I'm going to grab this one real quick. I think I didn't get the other one, but I want to capture this super fast here. So we're going to hit the capture button. We're going to shrink this down a little bit, put it over next to the others, merge it onto the board. And then we had ChatGPT. So we're going to take that one. Let's just put it over here, maybe, and merge it. Okay, so now we got all of our definitions on the board. So that's good. Okay, so let's keep moving. What else have we got? Number 2. How is this going to impact education? I think if we asked ourselves that question and we really, really wanted an answer to it, I don't think any of us really, really knows yet at this point. I don't think we totally know. But if I were to guess, and if some other folks were to guess, these are the kinds of things that we might consider. Like number 1, yes, students can use ChatGPT to do their assignments, certain kinds of assignments. Yes, they can. Number 2, Turnitin and other plagiarism checkers can't catch it because every time ChatGPT creates something, it's creating a brand new work. So if you asked it to write a 5-paragraph essay about whales, it'll write you one. And then you say, write me another 5-paragraph essay on whales, and it'll write you something completely unique. Like every time it redoes the work over and over and over again. So if you have 30 students that all go and ask for a 5-paragraph essay on whales, you will get different variations, probably fairly similar, but different variations every single time. And of course, because they're a unique original work every single time, Turnitin and a lot of the other plagiarism checkers don't quite have, they don't have the ability to keep up with that. Now, there are some tools out there to figure out whether things are artificial intelligence created or not. We're going to get to that in a moment. Number 3, schools and districts will try to block it. And like we were saying earlier, if students aren't old enough to use it by the terms of use, there's a reason for that. But it won't stop much. I just envision the students going like, Mr. Miller, can I go to the restroom? I'm coming right back and they've got exactly what they need. There's ways around it, What I would love, and Holly's brought that. Holly, you want to wave to the fine folks here? This is my co-presenter from our ChatGPT session on Monday. And Holly was saying that one of the things that would be really great is if teachers had access to it. If you felt like you needed to lock it down for students, okay. But don't take it away from the teachers. If we can model it and we can use it for ourselves, that's huge. Number 4 is that ChatGPT does have its limitations. It does generate incorrect information. It has done it. It's not perfect. It's only been out in public since November. So, it's still early days. And it also says that it's in research beta, which, indicates that we're still not there yet. It does occasionally produce harmful and biased content. It's trained on a data set. And so when you look back at that data set, you think, who was creating the data in that data set? Where did it come from? What were the views that were espoused in all that information? That all leads to the output. It has limited knowledge of events after 2021 because that's when the data set was really created. The data set for ChatGPT is kind of like in a box. Think of it that way. It's like in a box. It doesn't have access to the internet, so it's not like a regular Google search. So if you ask it about something that happened yesterday, it's not going to know. So I've heard some teachers that would say, oh, well, in that case, if I want my students to do work, I'm just going to ask them things that are since 2021. That's only going to last for so long, right? Like that's just a stopgap. And eventually we're going to have to figure out how to work with this stuff instead of work around it. And then it won't make ethical decisions for you. If you ask it to, it will say, this is not what I'm created to do. I can't do that for you. And it also seems to struggle with math. Have any of you seen this like out on social media? I've seen it. The math teachers are all like, y'all, our jobs are still safe. I still think their jobs are still safe anyway, but they're like, and they'll show some kind of wild math problem. Like one of them I saw, it was a word problem where it said, if 9 mothers are trying to carry a baby to delivery, how long will it take for each one? And ChatGPT goes, oh, 9 mothers, 9 months. It's like 1 month for each one, right? Like seriously, this is what it's saying. It's so funny at our presentation the other day, someone was like, man, I wish. You take February, I'll take March, she'll take April, we're good, right? Yeah. I don't think math in the real world kind of work that way. Okay, number 3, how can I teach tomorrow? This is a big question I've wanted to kind of explore because, if we're going to try to wrap our brains around it, it's going to take some time. But it's here right now. So what do we do right now? One of the big things I've seen people talking about is going low tech. Of course, going low tech has its limitations and its concerns, especially when you're talking about students who struggle with dyslexia and other learning disabilities. I can see that as sort of a stopgap, but I would be, like it says, consider its impact on accessibility first. Making it accessible to, all sorts of different students. This really isn't the solution. So let's look at some other things that maybe are a better solution. How about collaboration and discussion? If you have students talking to each other, that's a way where that things are being pulled straight from their brain. Then also, Google or ChatGPT can inform their conversation. So yeah, they can talk, but what if, they go look things up? Or if you're the teacher who's 18 plus and they ask you, hey, Mr. Miller, will you go ask ChatGPT this and this and this? And you just go plug it in and, there it is on the screen and they're able to see it. What else can we do to teach tomorrow? Show learning creatively. Holly and I just recorded a whole podcast. Did you all know that we have a podcast? My co-presenter Holly and I, it's called the Digital Learning Podcast. You can get it on lots of podcast platforms if you want to go check it out. But we did a whole session on this. This was something that we were seeing a lot of all through the TCEA conference, was showing learning creatively. If students take something that they've learned and they make something out of images or video or mash up media or whatever, doing those creative types of outputs to show what you know, those are a lot harder to farm out to AI and ChatGPT and all that. And then there's also using memory strategies. This is a personal favorite of mine. I'm like a big nerd when it comes to cognitive science and the science of learning and brain research and stuff like that. And so if you want to lock things in the long term, you can do this strategy called brain dumps, where if you have students recall everything that they can remember about a particular topic without looking it up in the book or the notes. This is a study strategy. It's not like a graded assessment. But this kind of thing helps them to see what is stored in their own brain and helps them to lock it in long term a little bit longer. So that's yet another thing that we could do if ChatGPT exists. And guess what? It does. Okay. What about cheating and plagiarism? This has been one of the big discussions. We had a whole section on this in our presentation on Monday. And so I pulled some of the stuff out of that into here. And this is my big take on it. Eventually, I think the definitions of cheating and plagiarism will be changed in light of AI. Because right now, what feels like cheating to us or what feels like plagiarism to us, I think in the future, when AI starts to become more widespread and more common in our natural lives, we'll start to change what we view as cheating and plagiarism. Kind of like when calculators started coming around and all of a sudden we didn't have to do all of those, basic calculations right out of our mind or on paper. All of a sudden we were able to kind of like skip that step and go to higher math. It's kind of the same thing, I think. So let's talk about this. This is a brand new slide I just made this morning. There are all sorts of GPT checkers out there. Some people will look at this slide and be like, oh, there we go. Problem solved, right? But this is kind of, and the question I would ask that person is, hey, when stuff like Turnitin started coming around, did that solve all of our problems with cheating? No. So, but what this can do is if we put something through one of these checkers like OpenAI, which created ChatGPT, just yesterday released their AI text classifier. And it was made for educators, basically, so that they get a good feel of if something was created through ChatGPT or not. GPT-0 was created by a college student for teachers. Fictitious.ai, Quill and Common Lit have the AI writing check, and then even the website Writer has an AI content detector. There's a whole bunch of them. Here's what you'll find with all of them. You will find false positives, where they scan it and they go, you know what? This was created by AI. There is a 87% chance this was created by AI. Those last 4 paragraphs, those were definitely created by AI. Even though it might be something that you created yourself and stuck it in there and you know that you wrote it. So for me, that's enough to be concerned, just enough about that to not use it as a punitive tool against students. What it can be is a conversation starter, right? It can be a place where you can say, hey, this tells me that this may have been created by AI. So let's talk about that real quick. You're going to need these skills. You're going to need to be able to do this. How can we use it to inform what we do, but not copy and paste it? How can we use your humanity to make this response better? So I think it can be used as a conversation starter for sure. And then there's this. Man, this was the most like photographed and shared slide from our presentation on Monday about rethinking plagiarism and cheating. Because I think there's some gray area in here, and eventually at some point, we're going to have to draw a line and say, okay, this is what I think, this is where I say cheating is, this is where I'd say that it isn't. So the spectrum that I've got here, up at the top it says bot created. It's like created by AI, right? All the way down to student created. So let's look at the top and the bottom of this real quick. This one says, student plugged the prompt into AI, copy pasted the response and gave it to the teacher. How much thinking is the student doing in that? Nothing. I think we can all probably agree that that's not what we want from our students, right? Okay, so let's go down to the very bottom here. Student created. Student wrote all assignment content without consulting AI or the internet. No internet, no AI, submitted it. We know who did the work, but you got to ask yourself, is that relevant to the student's future? And I think the answer to that is probably not. So I don't think that's what we want either. So now we go kind of closer to the middle. Back up here to the bot created part. So the AI created a response. The student read that response, edited it, adjusted it as necessary, and submitted it. Is that cheating? We keep asking that question. Rhetorical question, of course, right? How about this one? Student created multiple AI responses. Use the best parts of them. Here are 5 AI responses. I like the introduction of this one. I like this paragraph out of this one. I like this paragraph out of this one. Let's take this sentence and this sentence and this sentence, and let's use the conclusion out of this one. Is that cheating? Student wrote the main ideas. The main ideas came from the student. Put it into like bullet points. AI generated a draft and offered feedback to improve it. Is that cheating? Student consulted the internet and AI for ideas, but then wrote it themselves and submitted it. Like, at some point, something here, you got to figure out what you're okay with. And I think even more important than what we're okay with are these other questions. We kept asking which of these would you consider cheating. The more important questions I think are, which of these is relevant to our students' future? Which one of these is really preparing students for the future? This isn't to say that students aren't thinking. It's to think like, what is work going to look like in their future? And then here's a really big question. This one really cuts to the quick here. Which of these would you use as your work in your work as an adult? Right? If you're willing to use it in your work as an adult, that's pretty relevant to kids' future. Speaking of those kids' future, let's start thinking about those kids. Let's say you got a 10-year-old kid. ChatGPT is released when they're 10. They graduate high school at 18. That's 8 years that AI continues to grow and develop and get better and become more widespread in the world. They go to school for 4 years. They're 22, 23 when they get out of school. They go into the workforce at like 12 or at like 22 or 23. AI and tools like this have been around for 12 or 13 years at that point. So we're kind of like preparing them for that eventuality, right? And you all do realize that ChatGPT is like early days, right? ChatGPT is like MySpace of the artificial intelligence tools. It's like MySpace, like early days, right? Okay, let's keep going. Number 5, can I use this to teach and learn? My answer is absolutely you can. Again, remembering that if the teacher is the end user and kind of run some of this for the students, or knowing that students may use it on their own, there's all sorts of things that I think we can do. Like, Use it as a more complex source of information than Google because it can give you more complex responses. Use it to provide students access to lots of good examples. Use it as to create kind of like mentor tests. Notice I said good and not great and not elite, but good. Use it to remix student work. There's a teacher in Kentucky, Donnie Piercy. He's a Kentucky Teacher of the Year a couple of years ago. He teaches 5th graders, and he's been taking student writing, throwing it into ChatGPT and saying, turn this story into a soap opera. Turn this story into a haiku. Turn this story into a 3-act play. Make the story funny. Like, turn it into a sea shanty, you know, like all of this stuff, which is kind of cool. And it also helps the students to see, okay, I made this, but this is another genre of writing that I could do. They might look at all of those remixes and they might go, you know what? This kind of works better as a soap opera, you know? And so then they've got kind of a new one. Not sure, I don't know if we have like a whole bunch of students aspiring to be soap opera writers or not, but you get my point, right? Ask it for definitions on a variety of levels. Explain this to me like I was a 5th grader, like I was a 5-year-old. Ask it for feedback on student work. Ask it to do some of your teacher tasks for you. You know it'll write lesson plans, right? Doesn't mean, right? It doesn't mean that you have to copy and paste and use them exactly as is, but it will write lesson plans. It will write writing prompts. It will write test questions. It will generate talking points for you. I love this one. Add it to the think, pair, share thinking routine. There's a teacher named Sarah Dillard that I saw talking about this on Twitter. She said, what if it becomes think, pair, ChatGPT, share, and then ChatGPT again? Like, it could kind of transform that a little bit, right? How about grade the bot and debate the bot? What if ChatGPT creates something and you as a class go, what do you think? What do y'all think about this? What would you change? What did it not get right? Or even debate the bot. What if you have a conversation with it and you try to push for one point and it pushes for an opposing point? I know someone who kind of does debate, either in class or a club or something. They're like, this gives students repetitions on practicing debate.
I teach debate.
Oh, do you really? What do you think about that? Would that work, do you think?
I think it'll help a lot because I actually got no debate curriculum.
Oh, you.
Debate.
Oh.
So I've just been like coming up with stuff that I can find on it. So
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this works.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Okay, cool. I like it. All right. There's 11 through 20. We weren't just done with 1 through 10. I'll go through these quickly. Use it to summarize tests. You all remember Spark Notes and Cliff's Notes? She says that's how I read Shakespeare. Use it for insight into big, difficult to solve problems. I feel like, you know, ask it something like, how do we achieve world peace? Just ask it and see what it says, you know? It might be interesting. Not that it's going to solve the problem. Use it to write your lesson plans. I like this one. Anticipate the response that you get from AI. You tell the students, okay, we're going to ask this to ChatGPT. What do you think it's going to say? Because it's going to, you know, it's going to rank and only put the things that are most important in this response. What do you think is the most important stuff that you think ChatGPT will say? I mean, we could go on and on and on. Some of this starts to get a little bit repetitive, but lots of things that you can use to teach. Should we block ChatGPT? We've already kind of discussed this a little bit, but I really wanted to share this quote. This is from Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, which is what created ChatGPT. And he says, there may be ways we can help teachers a little more, be a little more likely to detect output of a GPT-like system. This was weeks ago before they had released that GPT checker. But honestly, a determined person will get around them. Same as we had with like Turnitin. Have you all seen students do, I mean, like I've seen where they'll take weird characters and like something that kind of looks like an E, and they'll replace all of their lowercase e's with that thing so that it doesn't think that it's an E, and it tries to check through it to see if it's all the same. And right. Oh, you never heard that one before?
That's determination.
Oh, that's determination.
Yeah, that's a life skill.
Right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So anyway, if we're able to beat those kinds of things, there's probably a good chance that students can beat these. I'm almost done. What resources can help me? So I've got one great big one you can use. So this is a great big post that I created called ChatGPT, Chatbots, and AI in Education. It's kind of like a great big guide, and it's got all sorts of things in it. So it's got like definitions, implications. A lot of the stuff that you saw in this presentation kind of came right out of this. And so that's the link to get to it. It got linked to by an article in the New York Times. Just saying it. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you. Okay, so I'm allowed to brag about that. At the bottom of that post, there are lots and lots of other resources that you can use as well, which is pretty cool. Oh, one more thing real quick. I'm going to do this, and then I want to ask you all real quick for any like thoughts or ideas related to this that you've got. So don't go anywhere, because I want to hear from you all when we finish this up. But I've been displaying this, like demoing this interactive display, which is pretty sweet, right? Like, I mean, the ability to use the whiteboard and to pull in the images and run a browser right on top of it and everything. Like, I really like this thing. You can even see over on this display over here, that uses the brush mode, which makes it look kind of like watercolor. You ought to check out, I don't see her, is Gloria around here? Gloria is like, well, she'll be here eventually at some point. If you get to watch her art on this thing, it's like incredible. Anyway, if you're digging this, I have good news for you. If you or your school are interested in getting one, you can get 15% off using this code up through February 7th. So if you have a decision maker at your school and you're like, hey, I need one of these in my classroom, you can get 15% off of it right now. Just like snap a picture of this, shoot it over to them. All you have to do is go to ditch.link/display and use that code at checkout. It's good through February 7th. There are terms and conditions that you can find at the link that I'm going to give you at the end. So yeah, 15% off. Pretty cool. Had to mention that because we like free things and we like discounted things as teachers, right? Okay, so that's my last slide right there. So I'm going to go ahead and close this part right here and go back to the roll. So this is the link. I think I mentioned this earlier. Maybe I didn't. TCEA23. I'm doing lots of presentations at the TCEA conference, and we have live streams like the one that's going on right here. Of a variety of my presentations. We've got the slide decks and additional resources to a whole bunch of those. So if you want to get to those and go watch any of the things that you didn't get to see, you can go to ditch.link/TCEA23. Okay. With that in mind, let's do this real quick. What other things would you all add to this conversation? Is there anything I didn't touch on? Is there another way you think you could use it? Like, I'm curious to hear what you all have to say. Yes?
I use it to write code because I don't want to. So I'm Canvas admin, and I was trying to help create tabs in Canvas, and I don't love missing mistakes, So I just asked if they have to be very specific and define the parameters exactly what you want. But I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yes.
And then I'm an English student. I've been teaching for 16 years. I can read a student's paper and know from the work they produce in class versus the paper, the difference because they're watching their notes. But normally, knowing your students having those relationships, they know what they normally produce in class. So when they turn in a big paper on time, she knows 100% that's not there. Yes. Then she goes and starts, she has a conversation with that student, and that creates another relationship.
That's really good. If you're listening at home and you didn't hear that, the first one was write code. It can write like HTML code if you're very specific about what you ask for. And then the other one was like knowing the difference between what you normally see out of your students' writing and what they've created this time and seeing the differences. My summary of that was use your teacher brain. But you said like build relationships and know your students, which I really liked. Yes.
You might not be good at doing the math problems, but we do a lot of reflection or tell me your process, so it can still help with the text and math.
Yes. Reflection and tell me your process. Yeah. Because if you're just feeding it into the AI, there's a lot of that stuff that you aren't going to be able to do. And this is just good learning stuff anyway. Right? What else? Anybody else have anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Our school is an international school, so we have a lot of foreign students coming in. And so I think them even just playing with it would be good for them developing their English and getting better and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I'm going to put expose students to AI. You know, one of the things that that we've been talking about a lot in these presentations recently is the equity issue too. You know, like if students don't know about this, I always like to look at the, just as an example, you know, New York City was one of the first entire school systems to shut this down and make it unavailable. And it makes me think, man, if students aren't exposed to this and they go through all of school and then graduate and go out into college, and they don't know how it works and they don't know how it fits into their everyday lives, think about them compared to another student who shows up in college or a new job and knows how this is embedded into your everyday life and what it can do and how it can help you. Like if they don't have access to it, then they're going to be at a disadvantage when they get out there. Now again, terms of service, right? But as with the teacher as the end user at very least, and also knowing that they may go out and use it themselves. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's important. So
You can change the language on it.
I think it's only the language. I think it's. I want to say it's. I don't know. I don't know. Anybody know? I want to say it's only in English right now.
I think I tried it in Spanish.
Really? Okay. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know that one off the top of my head.
Maybe in 4.0.
Yeah, maybe 4.0. That's right. Yeah. Anybody have anything else? Any other ways you could use it? Any other important points that you think didn't get covered or anything? Say it again.
Collaboration.
Yeah. Yes. Collaboration for sure.
I think also you mentioned about the experience, you know, lack of experience, exposing them to that, but exposing them to life experiences in general that they don't have.
Sure.
Personally, every kid has different life experience level, and so this would kind of level that playing field too.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. She said exposing
Equity, yeah.
students to like lots of other different life experiences. Yeah, that's really good. Do you have something?
Well, I'm hearing this, and it's just reminding me of, I'd love people to listen to, Jennifer Gonzalez has a Cult of Pedagogy podcast that she lists her like top 6 tech trends for 2023 to look at. This is one of the first ones in the podcast.
I bet. Okay.
And so it's about a 5-6 minute listen for this particular one. And but she, the Cult of Pedagogy, she has a teacher describe how she did ChatGPT and like used it in multiple ways in the lessons just to get. It was like they made a play, they did another play, they did
Sure.
American Tracks, and then they did that, and they had to do this constant, do this and analyze, do this and analyze. So it was a back and forth process. And so it wasn't just one thing and done. It was let's keep going. And so I'm not going to do it justice, but I would say listen to that particular podcast, and it'll help you go, okay, how do we brace?
Yeah, that's really good. She was saying, if you didn't hear, she was saying that the podcast, The Cult of Pedagogy with Jennifer Gonzalez, one of my all-time favorite podcasts on education. She has an episode about tech trends to watch in 2023, and ChatGPT and AI are right at the beginning, talking about a variety of ways to use it, but one of them was, you know, like having students kind of going back and forth, like analyze and put it back in. Is that kind of what you were saying? Yeah, yeah. Which sounds really interesting. Yes.
I have one more.
One more thing. Yep, you're good.
Creativity, because my students lack in it. I tried to get them to make a fake product, like a product that's not invented yet. And
Yep.
they were so crappy. I was like, this is what y'all supposed to do.
Yep.
So I know it gives you like different stuff like pirate voices or in like 18th century style.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it gives-
Yeah, yeah, no, that's really good. Yeah, the creativity side is important too. There's Gloria, by the way. Hi, Gloria. I was telling them about how you're like a master artist on the brush mode. She won't believe it. She won't tell you that, but I'm going to tell you that she actually is. So anyway, yes. Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. It was fantastic to hear all of your voices in this too, and the stuff that you had to say as well. I'll be around if you got any questions. I also have some free stickers and buttons up here if you all like free things. I've got some of those if you want to come grab those. And other than that, I'll be doing a couple other presentations. I'm here, let's see, I think I'm here at 2:20 and at 2:40, doing a session called Efficient Teach and doing a session called Teach Flicks. So those are like little short 20-minute sessions if you want to come and hang out. So other than that, yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for coming, everyone.
Great.
Yes, yeah. These are
That's
Okay, you want a maverick? I'm just handing it
There
right
are,
now. It says
there are
I
a few little buttons like this in my bag. They're just kind of all sprawled out all over the place. I don't mind if you pick through there and find one. I like to have one.
All right. Thank you so much for coming and checking out the live stream. We're going to do another one at 2:20 Central and then another one at 2:40 Central. And if you go to ditch.link/TCEA23, you can go get links to all of those live streams. All right. Thanks.